Nicola Hines, and welcome to my digital presentation, Differentiating Public slash Private Space. This is for my class, Communicating Mindfully, and today is November 13th, 2016. We're going to be talking about public and private space and going into some examples, and also we're going to be watching a video clip and sharing again the difference between a public and a private space. So the first one we'll start with today is going to be public space. So basically, in order to understand public space, you first have to know the difference between public and private discourse. So public space and public discourse, according to our text, basically promotes and protects the civic decision-making process for citizens, and it also helps people to channel multiple voices and opinions in a public forum or a public setting. And for example, think of like democratic conventions or rallies, anywhere like people are giving speeches, even like organizational meetings, churches, anywhere the public is gathered together, but it's in a public setting, not just something that's going to benefit one person, but the greater good. So the text again says it's through presentation of diverse ideas, standpoints gain adherence within a public sphere of multiplicity. So again, think of conventions, think of churches, think of business meetings, think of any platform, protest, where the public gather and there are more than one ideas, and there's a diverse group of people channeling their ideas and their voices. Next, we're going to talk about private space. Basically, in a private space, information is shared between two or more people. It's usually in a secluded, quiet, or confined setting, so that the information is protected. You don't have a lot of people or third parties hearing the information that is being transmitted between persons, the people in the room or the environment. So basically, only the persons or parties that are involved in the conversation or decision-making process will have information up to what was said and what was shared in that room or setting. Now, if either party or parties decide that they now want to get on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter and tweet or post or Snapchat, say something about the information that was shared, then that information is no longer in a private space or private setting. It now moves from private setting to a public setting. And so sometimes the lines between private and public setting is blurred, and it can be, you can go from either private to public and vice versa, depending on the context of information and where the information is being shared. Scandal. I said to pick a film, but when I saw that film, I immediately thought about the television series, the ABC television series Scandal, because this is a highly controversial political theme-based film, and a lot of controversies about what is private and what is public. You see this in almost all of the series. Oftentimes you'll see the president or the actor playing the president and his staff, in a private setting, but then a lot of time the information that they share end up becoming public knowledge, whether someone leaked that information to the press or to a political rival or an ally, or they share information. Someone from that group or the cabinet will share information that sometimes the information helps the cabinet or the party, and sometimes the information is detrimental or not good for the good of the group. So throughout this series, you will always see private space and public space at the same time. You'll also see private space being transitioned from privacy to public, and vice versa. and you see different messages and messages that has to do with individual as well as messages that has to do with the good of the country, this fictional country that on the television series Scandal. So one of the highly publicized relationship and scandalous relationships in this television series is the relationship between the president and Olivia Pope, who is his right hand woman, as you would say, or right hand man. She's his publicist and PR rep and White House spokesperson. But they also have a business as well as an intimate relationship, which is why it's so controversial and the line is crossed from private to public and public to private throughout the film. A very good example to watch to see the private and public space. And right here you can see Olivia and Fitz, which is the president, in an intimate embrace. And this is supposed
Why
to
did you
be
put Jake in charge of B613? Who
the
told you
main
that?
office,
You made Jake
which is
the
private
head
setting.
of B613. You know what that place is like. You know what it does. And you made Jake command. Why? Why?
I killed 329 innocent people. I let an international terrorist, your mother, out of the country, and she killed 3 more. And no one knows where she is. If I have any hope of remaining president, then it needs to stay buried. And there's only one man I trust to guard that grave.
Jake Brown.
What?
You are stressed. And you are scared. And you want this. You want to win this election so bad you can't breathe. And I understand that. But you don't trust me.
Trust you?
Andrew Nichols is wrong.
He is not wrong.
Like I said,
I trust you. I need you.
you want to win this election, and you can't do that if
You are not resigning. I won't win without you. Live. Live.
I'm not resigning. I'll be here.
So based on that scene that we watched from the film, that was a great example of private and public space. Oftentimes they'll have meeting in that very same room, and the information that they share in that setting is private until it becomes public, until the president or his chief of staff decides when the information will be shared with the public. But there are times when there's a lot of private meetings in there between Fitz and Olivia that has nothing to do with the constituents or has nothing to do with running the country, because of course in this case they're having an affair, but they're also very good at running the country and making great decisions that has nothing to do with their intimate relationship. But it is a great series to watch to see how the line between private space and public space is crossed and how the boundaries fluctuate. Another thing when we think about public space, the freedom of speech comes into mind, because when you think about the dialogic of ethics. But the cool thing about public spaces, it's not just beneficial to one person. It's not really self-centered. It takes into consideration diversity, multiple viewpoints and opinions, what each person is bringing to the table, what they have to say. It forces attendees to have to listen to each other, so one person doesn't get all the time on the floor, or get to express their own viewpoints. So some of the things that I took from the text talk about listening without demand, attentiveness, a negotiation, the ground of self, the ground of others, historical moments, evaluation, and self-reflection. So that takes you from knowledge to learning. And finally, here are my references, also linked to the YouTube video that you guys can watch. But this was a great presentation. I enjoyed learning about what is considered, private spaces, ethics surrounding that, the reason, boundaries, and also public spaces and forms and communication ethics, and what happens when the lines are crossed, as well as the interest of the parties that are involved. My name is Nicola Hines, and I hope you enjoyed my presentation. Thank you.